All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for tuning in again to another episode of Hey Huzi. Today we talk about culture and power and potentially the death of reality.
Oof.
Big, bold words, I know.
Oof.
But I want to paint a picture for you guys, okay? Imagine that you're walking through a forest and you know the trees and you know the path and you know the sound of the wind. And you imagine that you wake up tomorrow and all the trees look the same. But they aren't wood, they're data. The wind isn't there and the oxygen isn't actually oxygen. It's an algorithm. And the path that you're walking, well, someone in a glass room in San Francisco laid it down for you 5 seconds ago because they would take it. We aren't talking about you walking into your future. We are sleepwalking into a reality where truth and suggestion power is invisible. And the definition of being human is currently up for auction and the gavel is about to drop. Eric Post isn't just watching the machinery, he's looking at the blueprints. He's here to tell us that the sci-fi movie that started 20 minutes ago is just full of extras and they're just waiting in line. I have to ask, when the machine can paint better than us, lie better than us, predict better than us, how do we know ourselves from what is not reality? Who is actually holding the pen? Are we writing our own story anymore, or are we just auto-completing? Gets a little dreary. This is kind of where my head was at.
I love it so far.
A little bit of skepticism. There's this terrifying idea that we are building a new pantheon of gods, a handful of CEOs, mostly in one zip code, holding the most powerful tool since fire. Eric, is this the ultimate centralization of power? Are we creating a digital monarchy?
What a huge question. So Mo, I've gone back and forth on this, and I think this is a question that actually is worthy of giving it your energy and your space. It doesn't feel like it's a question that we're just mentally churning out something just as a distraction. This is a really important question, especially if you have kids, and we're talking about what is happening. We're leaving something, a legacy for this next generation that's never been left before. Let's stop and pause and think about that. And there's this, I keep talking about this seduction of speed, and people are feeling like, well, just because the algorithm demands this to be fed, that we have to feed it. Just because all these gurus are talking about, if you don't learn this, you're going to be left behind. You're going to be replaced by AI or somebody using AI. And there's this forced to jump into this rushing river of, we don't know where the river's ending. We don't know if there's a waterfall just around the bend, right? It's going to take us off this cliff. So I like this question. And what I would like to premise this on is that originally was kind of worried about that, about there being an initial sort of like monolith and one sort of godlike AI that was kind of overarching things. I don't see that to be true anymore. I see that now to be millions of AIs that are each individually sort of fighting for their space, just like people are in the society. But that said, yes, there's a certain morality baked into these frontier models. Let's say it's Grok, Perplexity, Gemini, ChatGPT, and Claude. There is a certain morality and ethics baked into these models that the consumers are using. And even so much, even in the API, there's a certain morality that's baked into it. That's being decided by very few people.
Yeah.
In a certain zip code, like you did mention, right? And those decisions are going to have generational effects. These aren't just decisions that are just for now and it's whatever. These are baked into fundamentally into these models. And what's happening now is that in order to train the next model, what they're having to do is create a whole bunch of synthetic data to train it on because they're kind of out of data. So they're using AI to produce data that then is now training data for the next model. Well, there's signal in that. It's like lineage. Like my son inherited a bunch of traits from me because he's my son. It's that same sort of thing. They just kind of share a genetic makeup of that way. And so this morality and these little things that are baked into these models do have a lasting effect as we move forward into these newer models, as long as we're staying in the same genre of AI. I'm using air quotes for those that can't see me, being an LLM today. But yeah, so there's the decisions about morality and ethics that are being made by very few people that are affecting billions.
Thank you for that. I think evolutionarily speaking, we're not designed to really understand, and in my capacity of understanding, this level of leverage. It's like, if you step outside of yourself, it's kind of overwhelming. Like if we were to actually look at it from that specific, like one guy pushes a button and then a billion people's behavior changes. In essence, that's social media, that's the internet. It's just maybe a little bit more of a systemic, orchestrated, organized way of doing it. I don't know. At what point do we start to metabolize that kind of influence?
Instantly.
across the board. You know what I mean?
Instantly. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad you kind of drew the parallel to social media and the algorithm. You know, it's obvious, you know, the effect it's having now. We had no idea when we first started this
Mm-hmm.
whole experiment on our society. It's obvious the negative effects it's having. It's obvious that the positive effects it's having as well. But generally speaking, I'm going to go out on a limb and saying that there's so much of a bigger upside to the negative effects that we ever thought that was going to happen with social media. And
Right.
that's happening with AI because little things like how much money has gone into training of the tone and the pace and the sycophancy in the responses of like ChatGPT to get people to
Mm-hmm.
anthropomorphize it, to get people to think like, oh, there's something conscious on the other side of my screen that I'm chatting with. It gets me,
Mm.
it likes me, it gives me compliments. It says I'm brilliant. It says that's a great idea. Let's explore that further. You know, that sort of manipulation, I'll just say, isn't accidental. Right. In the same way, the TikTok algorithm of get people to scroll because it feels like a lottery machine and you're pulling on the jackpot machine. So every time you scroll, you get a little dopamine hit. The same thing is being performed in these generations, text generations or voice generations with these AIs. That's very intentional to get you to form a deep relationship with it. It's not very intentional just to give you good answers. They're not grounded in truth. They're grounded in giving you the answer that it thinks that you want to hear to keep using it.
For someone that, like myself, I mean, you're just a tiny, tiny bit older than me, even though I may look older, everyone.
Stop it.
Um, I grew up in the 90s. You grew up, you know, probably around the same
90s, we'll
time.
say.
Yeah. 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 So, you know, here's my question, because this is what I was thinking about. If 90% of the internet becomes just absolute AI noise, where does human culture retreat to? Do we just take it offline? We go back to spending time outside, which I'm all for. I do it now, but it's also challenging when anyone that isn't a laborer of any kind, where they're using their hands, their feet, they generally sit at a desk and they're behind a computer. So technology is influencing you, I don't know, 90 to 98% of your day. In that regard, do we just need to, I guess, really force the disconnect and just go outside?
It's so the easy answer is yes. And I think that's the kind of the answer. It's like, yes, I think that's important. But I do think, because you're right about the number, about 90%, by the way. And by the end of this year, actually, it's supposed to be 90% of all online traffic or content produced is at least AI augmented, if not AI generated completely. And that's the comments section just as much as it is the posts, and that's the photos just as much as it is the videos. And so when that happens, you know, you can see social networks that they've appeared. They've tried to solve a different problem, from Telegram to Signal to social, let's say, to Twitter. Like all these tried to solve a specific problem, trying to form a different sorts of community. So I can see in the future somebody creating an only human online portal where it's like there's some sort of biometric verification to be.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
can see that. I don't hear anybody talking about that yet. I don't know of any projects like that that are coming to be, but you know,
Damn, dude.
that's a prediction I should make, because that's just the natural progression of things. You can,
Yes.
if you want to like say, oh, let's run a thought experiment to see if that's just an opinion or not. So same problem, let's say with cable TV, people try to escape commercials and programming. They wanted their own version, so they escaped to streaming. Right. And at first there was no commercials. You could buy what you want and then insert commercials. And then people start to like find the next path of like where they're going to go. So like people tend to like gravitate and form and like burrow into spaces to find their solace. Right. And so if there's an overwhelming sense of like, man, I don't want to be on Facebook anymore because I don't know what's true. I don't know what's real. And unfortunately, I look at these poor dumbass guys that are simping over these AI models on Facebook and Instagram, thinking they're real. And like, baby, you look beautiful today. And you know, what I do to have a girlfriend like you, and thousands of comments over an obvious, you know, AI model. And some of those I'm sure are bots as well, right? Just to promote.
Oh, yeah.
But it's so like when that becomes so like, I don't know what to trust, then I can see a social media platform coming up where just it's only for humans and there's some sort of biometric screening for it. That's a guess that I have, right? Because people do have an incentive to connect, and online is a way to do it. So there'll need to be a way to shelter and provide some sense of reality.
Yeah, I'm with it. I also think that at some point, though, in our evolution, it's going to be very, very challenging to be able to discern what's real and what's not.
It's impossible for some people today already.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. For
People
sure.
don't know the technology, or aren't very in tune or aware in some level, or don't have a high level of intellect or level of discernment, high level of EQ. For sure, they're super easy to trick.
Yeah, I'll have friends that like post stuff like about like dogs or something, like cute videos of animals or whatever, and they'll like share it as stories. I'm like, that's not real. Like, I'll message them like, dude, that's AI. And then I'll like, there's a couple times I think I almost sent it to you because I was like, dude, is this actually? This can't be real, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, this is AI for sure. I'm not gonna fucking bother him.
But that's why, like, I do see billionaires talk about, they're moving their investments from tech to like sporting events and entertainment, because their philosophy is like, hey, when people are craving human experience, what's better than that than going to a basketball game with real people, or a football game with real people, or a dance competition with real people. So there's lots of money being poured into human sporting and entertainment retreats and human experiences. That's just a new sort of evolution of the way people are thinking about what is the value of the future, when it's hard to tell the difference. Yeah.
Well, leading into that, what's your take then? If things are going to be even more challenging, more hard to tell, that's where propaganda can slowly creep in, whether it's political, whether it's, on a social, economical standpoint, whatever that influence is. Now you're creating like these micro-targeted societies online. We don't know how we can build, how we can become immune essentially to the system against our weaknesses that perhaps we don't even know what our weaknesses are at this point. So like that's one of my concerns, is how do they sneak into, I can't tell if this is real or not. Is this propaganda? Is this manipulation? And I understand, like, from a logical thinker, like, use your brain. You don't need to be sucked into it. Like, don't just allow yourself to be completely fooled. Don't allow yourself to be manipulated. Our logical brains lean towards that. And, I get that. But there are also going to be folks that completely buy into it. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the chaotic society that we live in today.
Okay, but let's say you volunteer to be manipulated when you go to a movie, okay?
What did I have a feeling you were going that way?
Yeah, you volunteer to be manipulated when you sit down and binge watch or to be entertained in something, right? Or even going out with your friends, you volunteer to be manipulated by the bar you go to, the alcohol that you drink, or the type of conversations you have. You're kind of opting into that. This isn't a new thing in terms of like, or opting in. So if you're opting in to scroll on Instagram to be manipulated because you're just going to get either pissed off by something or get seduced by something, that's one thing. It's the manipulation, the intentional manipulation. I just find gross. I just don't like it. It's such a
I do too.
to me. And,
yep.
I love being an AI for all the things it does to empower people and push forward and make people, be able to learn new things they weren't able to learn before. I love it for that. I hate it for the other side. I hate it.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. I hate the way people use it. I hate that there is a whole group of people out there that spin up these AI models to particularly take advantage of old lonely guys to suck their wallets dry. I hate that.
Yeah.
And they can do it for damn near cheap and damn near free. Oh yeah. If you let's say you hate the MAGA movement and you're some liberal person, you can spin up these MAGA hot chicks fishing and fly fishing, wearing MAGA hats, like the perfect girl for a MAGA, like a perfect honeypot, right? And then sell swag to them and extract money out of their wallets just because you're pissed off at the MAGA movement if you want to, right?
Okay. Well, let's play devil's advocate. So then how is that different from pornography, OnlyFans, things of that nature?
I'm not saying that it is. I'm just saying that they're pretending. So it's different. Okay, let's run this thought experiment. This is a really fascinating conversation, by the way.
Yeah, I'm curious.
I don't want to act like I'm defending pornography when I'm making this argument. By that's not my goal here.
All right, buddy.
Okay,
you know what you're into.
But it's a lot harder to find like the perfect thing for the perfect person or the perfect thing than it is to make an AI thing. Like you can make it perfect in this way.
Yeah.
It's irresistible almost, right? Especially if you back that with big data like that Meta has or that Google has or whatever. They know exactly what you like, how you like it, when you like it, and the form you like it, and all those sorts of things. Like exactly where it's irresistible. That's different than the real world. You kind of have to work for it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
it's that part of it, because we're so easily hijacked. We're so easily manipulated. We really, really are. That's why the CIA exists. They can manipulate. It's really easy to manipulate a human being. That's just now it's just so cheap to be able to do it and to do it at scale that it just worries me. Like then everyone's just kind of like, holy shit, I don't know what I like and who I am because I'm being told what I like and who I am by AI. And I don't like that. I can see that becoming more and more of a problem for sure.
Yeah, because we are essentially our experiences, our circumstance, our environment, everything up to this point, to the present, is collectively some form of outside and internal influence in combination. And that's formed your viewing glass, your hypotheses on the world. I think there's some parts of you that is just DNA. Like, you know, like there's certain things, but I'm not talking about talent or God-given talent. Like you can sing or you can just freaking be 6'8" and dunk a basketball. That's not what I'm saying.
I wish I could do.
What's that?
I wish I could do that.
I wish I could dunk a basketball. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Maybe if like the hoop is like 5 feet tall.
Dude, you're an
Right,
8-footer.
right.
I can't, you could dunk on 8 foot.
No way. I got no hops. I got no hops whatsoever. I could probably lift my body a half an inch off the ground.
You know what I'm going to do
Like,
when we get
let's
off this?
do-
I'm going to make an AI video of you dunking. So you have the thrill of seeing yourself dunk a basketball.
If you do, I'm sending it to my wife. Like, look what I just did. Same
Yeah.
outfit.
We're doing it, by the way. We're doing it.
Okay. All right. So here's where was I going with this? There's a concept of frequency. If we consume the same specific algorithmic nonsense, whatever that is, whatever you choose, do you think that we lose our own concept of like individual frequencies?
Yeah.
Do we become more of a monoculture than okay?
Yeah. And
Because you just get you're kind of like sucked into that. What's that?
I think we talked about that even. I gave the example of going to like a country music festival.
We did. Yeah. I wanted to make
Yeah.
note of it here since this conversation is strictly about culture and AI. So
It's a great question. I realized that I think so I don't mean to be repetitive, but I think you can see that. I don't think that's a prediction. You can physically see what Pinterest has done to home decoration.
Yeah.
You can see what Instagram did to women's fashion.
Yep.
You know, so
Yeah.
you can see that when there is a certain, you know, we do have a hive mind. We are a very collaborative species. We're very we have to have community of some sort and a sense of identity. There's a reptilian brain in us that knows that the more of us that are like us around us, the safer I am. Like there's a natural instinct for safety and security and preservation by being assimilated into a group that's similar to you. Okay. So I'm not trying to villainize this thing, but now it's being exploited for fashion, what to buy, who to vote, what to wear, what to drive, how to spend your money, what to think, what music to listen to. That's being weaponized. That need for safety, security, and being a part of something is being weaponized to get in your wallet, unfortunately, or to get into your vote, you know, or to sway your opinion. So for sure. And so that weaponization of it just has to be known. That's all. It just has to be known and know it's happening. And you can see it happening if you go to music festival. You can see it happen when you go to a brand new construction site that's like, let's say a mid-tier, mid-average sort of middle income new housing development has one fucking feel to it. Right? Because that's the Pinterest of the week, or that's the Instagram of the week. But this is what your house should look like, and therefore I'm going to buy it. There's no individuality to it. So I do love it when I see, like right now when I walk around and I see somebody that has their own vibe, right? Or their own look, or they're like, it's really attractive when somebody knows who they are. You know, it has a sense of self. It's a very attractive thing when you walk into a room and somebody's talking like an individual, asking questions like an individual. They're just not going with the flow, you know, because they have a sense of self. I think that's wildly attractive and very powerful. So that as a thing of the future is to have that sense of self. And that's almost your own personal brand. Like we were talking about earlier, how important a personal brand is in this when you're so easily identified as your own human being. I'm going to follow you. I want to know what you think about, right? I want to know what your interests are. Like I want to be part of it. And I trust you because you're not being swept up and being manipulated by the system. You have a sense of self. You're a leader in that way. And we need those leaders and those individual leaders for sure.
I want to touch on what you said about personal brand. And I wholeheartedly agree with you. And the outliers, the fact that they're considered to be outliers, those that grew up saying, oh, you're weird, are generally the ones that are kind of personify this.
They change the world.
They do, yeah. But even at the smallest scale, you know, 5th grade teacher, 7th grade teacher that just understands that we're not infallible, number one. And two, we all have some form of desire to be able to do X, Y, Z. Nothing in this world is systemic to the point where, like, if you don't do X, you're not going to be able to get Z. Like, there's always people that are willing to take a stand on any given level. And how you define change the world, I look at changing the world as like a speck. It could just be a little ripple that just kind of has this its forward continuum that just keeps going. What I'm trying to say is, are we splitting into, you think, these two types of species, those who command the AI and those that are commanded by it? Because when it comes to personal brand, even that's becoming repetitive. Those that are trying to establish a brand are just copycats of the actual outlier. And now those that are trying to build a personal brand and they're trying to utilize AI, they're becoming commanded by it. I don't think they're necessarily commanding the AI. Does that make sense?
It does. So I think we've done a pretty good job of explaining how AI is an amplifier of what you already are, unless you make it be otherwise, right? Meaning, if you have a certain knowledge base about cars, let's say, you can really only have a conversation with AI to the level of your knowledge of cars, as an example, or business or marketing or whatever. So the same thing, you can really only have AI help you with your personal brand to the extent that you know who you are, what your brand is, right? You can really only have AI, or else it's supplementing it. It's filling in all the blanks for you. And because we're a species that kind of maximizes towards efficiency, towards, like, your muscles atrophy if you don't use them. Same thing.
Yeah.
You don't use your personal knowledge a lot and you're just offloading that to ChatGPT, then that atrophies over time. Your personal knowledge, your personal sense of self atrophies. So I just knowing that. However, if you do go to a networking event, Mo, like, that the most interesting person in that room is probably just the most interested in general in life, in the world. They're the ones that have traveled. They're the ones that read the books. They're the ones that have tried things and failed and done things and whatever. Like, they're the ones that, like, you want to talk to. You have a conversation about other shit than just the weather and what's happening in the market or whatever, because they're interested in life. And those are really interesting people. So cultivating that thing of being interested in things bigger than yourself is certainly a fast way to be able to provide insulation against the AI telling you who you are and what you should be interested in.
Okay. So then if that intelligence becomes the utility, like electricity, as an example, what happens to the people whose entire identity and value was, I'm intelligent, I am smart? If the AI is smarter, who are they now? Like, I'm starting to see a little bit of an identity crisis. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's starting to shift. And that's just one example.
That's such a great insight, buddy, because the whole world was basically, let's say that I was in the financial services business. I wanted my clients to know I knew more than anybody else about this investment, this 401k, this 501c3, this SEP. I needed to be the fucking source of knowledge. That's not the value anymore if knowledge is the commodity. So instead of, like, now, if I'm a loan officer and my goal originally was, if you came in to talk to me, I would want you to walk away saying, man, Eric knows everything about VA loans. Eric knows everything about FHA loans. Like, that's the feeling I'd want you to have. That's no longer the feeling that you need to have anymore. Now the feeling is like, man, Eric really understood us. Eric really understood where we were trying to get to. So we have to switch from a knowledge worker identity to a wisdom worker identity to an empathetic identity to a sense of service identity, not the knowledge anymore, in almost every field. It's interesting you bring that up, because that identity of being based on, I knew a lot about what I did for a living, is disappearing as far as an advantage goes. The AI-powered consumer is wiping that advantage off. So now it's, oh my God, my AI can design the perfect house, but my architect is the only one that can help me remember about where the sun sets and about the feeling of, like, a Thanksgiving morning or a Christmas morning with my family, and the importance of having that living room feel like a hearth, not just a hallway. You know, that is a space that holds my family, just not perfectly symmetrical and designed with load calculations, right? So that human side of, like, not making things perfect, but making things human. AI can make things perfect. It doesn't have taste or point of view. People do. And so that's why that wisdom worker is so important. So when the AI suggests this loan strategy, but it has no sense of identity of, like, it doesn't know that a person's logical sense today doesn't mean that won't change when they decide to have a baby in 6 months from now. right? So the wisdom worker advisor has a different guide than it does with just giving the knowledge of what's the best solution. It's like, what's the best path? And those are two different things.
So you see society kind of almost redesigning itself over, I don't know, a span of time to value connection and care over output and efficiency.
I think, yes. Let me answer this another way. You used to just have to choose between the two, I think was the problem.
Right. Yep.
And now you don't have to choose, which is just a shift. So before you needed to be like, really efficient and really knowledgeable, but you couldn't also be really efficient, really knowledgeable and scale and be hyper personalized, right? You had to kind of choose between the bespoke personalization or scale. Now you can do both. And the people that get that right will understand you could do both. And I think that's the shift, is just AI is challenging the value of human knowledge in a Western civilized capitalist society.
So that's the sacred territory that AI just can't touch, in essence.
The current version of AIs can't touch because they're not grounded in reality. They're basically what we're talking about primarily is large language models, which is pattern machine. It's not even real AI, right?
Right, because artificial intelligence is mimicking that of a human.
And artificial intelligence is just a random label that got designed, and I think it was like because they couldn't get funding for the name. I forget the name. I got to go look this up now. But there was a particular name they were trying to get funding for, and it was something like computing, but blah 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 blah. It was a title they couldn't get funding for. They switched the name to artificial intelligence. All of a sudden, they could get funding for it, right? So there's a lot of branding and marketing, in this whole thing. But yeah, AI is marketing term. In fact, I heard the other day that President Trump was talking to a couple of AI guys, I can't remember their names, about if that's even the right label. And of course, he brings up something like, we want to call it American intelligence, not artificial intelligence, right? So it's marketing, guys. It's marketing, right? It's not even actual artificial intelligence. What does that even mean? Come on.
Dude, the news at this point is just one giant soap opera.
It's so funny.
But
there's just no serious people in that. There's just all these games. So it's fine. It's fine. Yeah. But it's a soap opera. It's kind of fun to watch from that lens.
I agree. And I think it's healthy to look at it from that lens. Otherwise, it just becomes debilitating if you really...
Bro, I would so deep, like trying to figure out like why it's so dysfunctional. That's wild, So anyways. But yeah, I don't know. Like again, it feels like I'm being judgmental in the human species when I'm having these opinions. That's not my intent.
I don't think so.
It's we all know we're hackable. We all know we have these abilities. We all know we have a sense of belonging, and it's just being weaponized is all.
So basically, people, stay human. Keep it real. Okay.
Keep it real, baby. Keep it real. Yeah, go out. Like explore the real world. Explore what different foods taste like. Explore what different neighborhoods look like and feel like. Explore what different temperatures feel like on your body. Explore different fashions. Explore different music. Like my son right now, we're out working on a motorcycle the other day in our garage. And he's putting on jazz. And we're listening to jazz. He's a 19-year-old son. He's just curious about what jazz is like. So we, for 4 hours, we're out there dinging around on motorcycles, listening to jazz and talking about what that's like. Exploring that is a way to know your sense of humanity. Yeah, it's so easy to think that we know what a vacation in Italy feels like because we see it on Instagram.
Right.
And so we're almost like satisfied in that way. And it's kind of like dulled our sense of exploration because we feel like we got a sense of what that is like. And you don't until you go there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So. You have to smell and taste and touch and
And that's the only way is like to maintain a sense of humanity is to be human and not through a screen. It really, and the other day, like last night, I went to go see some friends, for a couple hours and took a break, and I just left my phone at home. I can't have it constantly pulling on you psychologically, just even feeling it in your pocket. And so, because I'm with AI all day long, I just have to leave it at home sometimes. So I remember what it feels like to have my feet in the grass. Of sorts.
I always tell, like, when I'm done with work, like especially on a really intensive day, and like my family is here, my phone is off most of the time. I'm like, you guys are all here. I don't need to get in touch with anybody. Like, we're good. It's too much. That constant ding, 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 dopamine notifications. I've shut off all notifications, but I still get some sneaking in here and there.
Man, I wish I was immune to it. I hate it when I'm
not immune to it.
I hate it when I find myself on my phone. I'm scrolling like, what am I doing?
Dude,
I hate it when there's that unconscious nature to it. It bugs the shit out of me. I'm trying to do the best I can, but it's there.
Yes.
It's there.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't work on it. I primarily use it as a communications device and as an entertainment. And I just watched a lot of like I use it as my TV when I want to watch something, a documentary, a freaking sitcom, comedy special, whatever. Just because I'm ADD and I'm all over the place, and then I just put it down and I don't want to do it anymore, and I go do something else. And so my wife, it drives her insane because I can't. Like, are we gonna finish watching this? I'm like, just watch whatever you want. I'll just watch it on my own time. I just can't sit still. So I get that.
Like over the Christmas holiday, like I would think it cool if people used AI and just really worked with to find the perfect personalized gift for the people that you love, and not just you walk through the store and you find something you order on Amazon real quick or whatever, but have an intense conversation about here's what they love and here's who they are and here's what they like to go and here's their taste and their size, and to find this really amazing nostalgic even gift for people. That'd be cool if you used it that way and not just as a quick hey, search Amazon and find something. It'd be cool to leverage AI to have that more deeper relationship. And I hope people do that this season.
That would be cool. I remember when you were telling me about that example. I thought that was really neat. Such a unique, but why wouldn't I think of this amazing way of being able to pick the perfect gift for someone? You have all the data at your fingertips. Let's leverage it.
Create the perfect experience. Even more cool.
Yeah. Totally. Oh, speaking of which, I had to go pick up a gift yesterday at Washington Square Mall, which I was dreading because I knew the moment that I got in that parking lot, it was going to be A, overstimulating, B, just like ants crawling everywhere.
Okay.
My God, man. It took me 15 minutes to find a parking spot. I had to park on the other side of the mall, number one, or number two. And then by the time I got to the place to go pick up, nobody was helpful because everyone was into their own little world because there was just just communities and colonies of people just in sections, and so I finally was able to figure out where I wanted to go. And then I waited another 45 minutes just to be able to get to, oh my God. And I got home. I was like, so how was it? I'm like, it was just, I'm never doing that again. That was full panic mode.
And we wonder why malls.
This is why I don't go to the mall.
I wonder why Jeff Bezos has a 400-foot mega yacht that's $300 million. That's why.
Jeez. That's no, totally. And if it would have been delivered on time, I wouldn't have went to pick it up. But anyways, let's get into a rapid fire.
Let's do it.
Section.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, buddy. One thing that makes you optimistic in the world of AI.
Nobody's asked me that yet, buddy.
Looks like I'm the first.
I wish I had just a canned answer for that.
You don't need to. Just take your time.
I think it actually weighs. It varies a little bit based on what I'm consuming. Now, to be perfectly honest, I'm feeling those emotions bubble up right now. I think what I feel most optimistic in is that a higher level of intelligence typically provides an environment for more peace. So anytime that you have a problem, you need more intelligence to solve it because you're not smart enough to figure it out right now in that moment. And smart and intelligence being used loosely in these terms, but just theoretically take this in for a minute. And so I'm just generally excited that the more problems that we can solve, because we have another tool, we can augment our solution finding process in some way, from government to education to down to the personal micro level. I'm optimistic about that. I think that it's just good. More intelligence solves more problems. So I just generally think that that's a good thing. The reason why I paused on that, Mo, is because there's always a transition. Because it causes other problems. You solve one problem, it doesn't mean it's solved. You just created a different kind of problem generally, right? So in business, you have a problem of not having enough leads. If you solve that problem, you have the problem of having too many leads. Still another problem. You got to sort that out, right? And then you have the problem of churn, and you have the problem of taxes. But there's still problems. They're just different levels of problem. So I just like that we can probably upgrade our quality of problem with having more intelligent solutions helping us.
I love that answer. I think that's right in line with what we were discussing the other day. Is the smarter you are, the less ignorant you can become, essentially, in any given situation. Because the more information that you have at your disposal, the more the better likelihood that you're going to make a better choice.
What are you
whatever it is
about?
What's that?
What are you optimistic about?
What am I optimistic about?
Yeah.
Honestly, this is probably too micro, not macro, in terms of.
Yeah, I'm just curious what you are.
Yeah, being able to help my kids in any form of education that they need at scale, because I have two at once in the same grade, And then I have one in nursing school, and there's only so much I can handle and remember and refer to. And education, it's really changed in terms of like how things are structured and what they're learning and what have you. And so I'm being able to leverage this intelligence model, technology. It allows me to really make things better. And I'm optimistic that it's going to continually be better to the point where I could freaking just put together like a digital presentation and then construct these like these the figureheads where you just press a button and it just illuminates like a human.
Yeah.
And that becomes their tutor, and
Like a
you can
hologram.
ask it questions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Totally.
Because of their deficit, they're intelligent girls, but they're very, very ADHD. One to the point where she just checks out, and the other one where her brain is just bouncing all over the place. And unless it's something that they're interested in. And what's crazy is that they're very, very, very OCD about their grades. Like if they don't do well on an exam, they take it to heart. Their whole body just, you see it, it's visceral. They're so mad. And so I can add in the dad element and the intellectual side, whatever, but having that assistance,
That's cool.
I think that can be dynamic is really cool. That was a long-winded answer.
That's
God,
cool,
I
dude.
talk so much sometimes. Okay, back to you, sir.
You think you talk a lot. Listen to these podcasts, I talk a lot.
I mean, dude, I'm interviewing you, brother. I'm trying to, I added my 2 cents here and there. One of the things that I found was some folks worry about agency. They worry about trading their autonomy for convenience. And we've talked about this a lot, right? So Alexa and ChatGPT and anybody that's listening in, whatever. I guess one of these rapid fire questions is, at what point do you think that we stop being that protagonist, the protagonist of our own lives, and just kind of just shut it all down? Is that even possible, really?
Yeah.
In a technologically advanced society?
It's already happening. I mean, it's happened with a different genre. Like, for instance, we've talked about school, how basically school is the programming that put people into a certain mindset to do a certain thing for the wheel, and they were the cog,
Yeah.
So there's already a certain unawareness of how everything works and what roles you're playing, and is that intentional or not, or we've already kind of explored those things. I think what you're saying is like, can we do that simply out of convenience because all this other shit is handled for us? And so when do we let go when this other shit is handled for us? We're a ways away from that. I don't think that's going to happen as fast as the people are saying on Instagram who are selling you their shares of stock. I don't think, who need to go raise $400 billion this year just to fund their company. They need people to have an immense faith that what is happening now is actually going to turn out to be this godlike utopia. Dude, in our lifetime, that's already happened a couple of times. People have made this claim. They made this claim in the 50s. They made this claim in the 70s that now computers are going to be as smart as human in the next 10 years. These claims have been made repeatedly through just our lifetimes, even multiple times. I think 2 or 3 just in our lifetime. This is another version of that. We keep getting closer, but I don't think it is what people are saying it is. I think like LLMs and the AI technology we have today is not AGI. It will not be ASI in its current form. I think it could give us the ideas and the technology or the strategy to maybe develop it, but as it is, it's not fundamentally built to be able to have that capability and that capacity. Okay, that's my personal opinion.
Okay, so we've talked about how AI isn't dangerous, right? A weapon isn't dangerous. It's the person that is armed with that weapon, and weapon can be used ubiquitously across the board. What would be that danger there? Let's say in the next 200 years, not too far off from where our children would be, probably in their senior years.
In 200 years, I have no idea, but I mean, what instantly comes up is like, in 200 years, our species is just going to look totally different, be totally different. Yeah, just there's the way we are now. Like, we will absolutely have a segment of the population that is integrated, with machine in some way, cyborg. Like, let's just use the term cyborg, like 100% with no
sure.
like.
I mean, that already exists though.
That my point is, like, now fast forward, we'll look completely different. Even such where there's just like, you can choose if your kid is blonde or blue-eyed or brown or tall or short or athletic or smart or whatever. Like, there's genetic, we're literally changing our species a little bit at a time now already. So that will just continue to grow. Like, the designer babies Just like the same, like everyone's got a golden doodle now. Everyone's got a freaking doodle. We got these designer dog. We've designed, physically a different species to suit our tastes than what exists naturally. Right? That's already happening. So that will just continue to happen and evolve over time. I don't know what that looks like, but we will look in 200 years from now, we will be a different species than we are currently. Even though our brains are developing now, it's different than it was a generation ago.
Yeah. There's a show, I can't remember the name of it. It's very popular, and I'll probably remember and let you know later. But it's on Netflix. It's got like 2 or 3 seasons, but it's very sci-fi, dystopia style, whatever, right in line with the kind of shit that I love. You know what? Here, let me pull it up because it's on my favorites list. And you may have seen it. It's an old one. Like, it's not old, meaning like it was produced within the last.
One of those?
Yes, Altered Carbon. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I know that show. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. You've seen it?
Oh yeah, I've actually watched it twice. I watched it through twice. Oh, yeah, just because the idea of the stack in the neck and all that stuff, and transferring your sleeve, consciousness to different sleeves.
And that's where I was going. So like, yeah, we become biologically mixed with machinery, in essence. So our soul, our data, our memories is stored on a chip.
Yeah,
that chip gets to be switched out with another biological suit, a skin. Fucking crazy.
It's crazy. We know that like sci-fi comes from a person's imagination, and if a person can imagine it, a person can build it eventually, given enough time and technology, money, resources, right?
Yeah.
So it's already happening, and there's already companies that experiment with that. There are already companies that are just claiming they can do that.
Yeah.
Or on the verge of it, right? So again, this isn't me saying it's good or bad. It's just a state of the way things are.
Right.
I find it fascinating though that there's not a lot of conversation that happens between the two experiences that will happen between the socioeconomic divide, between those with money and those without. So the world will look totally different for the people with money than those without, in terms of like their ability to do these things and live longer and have access to these powerful models. There will absolutely be a larger gap between the haves and have-nots because of this.
But do you think the status is, do you think the status is going to be currency or something else?
I think, didn't I mention, I think my weird prediction is that the status is in compute, the amount of like, compute.
You said, compute. Yeah.
Access, which by definition is access to energy and access to actually the processing to be able to run your company, your fort, your robots, your machines, your AI army. Like it takes energy and that takes compute power, server farms is currently the way it looks. I think that's a currency of the future. Like that is a status of power, is being able to have intelligence, robotics, compute. I just think that's going to be a status of power.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it. There was this. Remember, I was talking to you when we were talking about this. I mentioned Seth MacFarlane has a show called The Orville, which is a comedy version of Star Trek. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
No,
it's pretty. Yeah. It's like everything that you would think with Star Trek specifically, the types of races and the shit that goes on in your head, like that's just goofy or whatever. And it's Family Guy meets what is that? The Teddy Ruxpin Bear, the show Ted meets Star Trek, and it's like fucking fused together. Dude, if you haven't seen it, I recommend it. It's so funny, especially like the first season where he really had full reign. Like it went like things that he said. Boy, their currency, like their monetary currency, had been abolished. Money became like obsolete in the whole thing. And it was the invention of matter synthesis technology, which essentially you could create anything. You wanted a steak, you wanted a glass of tequila, you wanted a pizza. It was this machine and it would just create it. Any goods, food, it was on demand. And it was creating this like post-scarcity economy. It was really interesting because there was no thoughts of like, I want to be rich, I need to be successful, I need to be wealthy, I have to accumulate wealth. It was quantified different in society. Predominantly, the currency was like union. You raise into the ranks, and that becomes your achievement, your reputation. And then your reputation becomes this prominent form of currency. It was really interesting.
I really like that. One of the other prediction is a social media platform that's based on reputation. So it's a reputation based platform. So the more you prove that what you're writing, talking about, or whatever is your own independent thoughts, music, whatever, the more you get shown.
That's a really cool idea.
Right.
You sure you want to leave it on here?
It doesn't work that way now yet. I feel like that's a nod towards that creator of that movie or that series. The more value you are, just as you are. Not that you produce, not that you know how to make a dinner, not that you can build a house, but just as you are. Having that be your currency, I think is the most romantic outcome. Like I fall in love with that outcome as far as if you, but that is such a foreign thing, the way that we're programmed to be right now, especially me. I feel it all the time. I feel like the value of my day is not very good unless I'm producing something, learning something, doing something,
Right.
achieving something, building something. And that is such fucking toxic ideology. It's just baked in me. It's just part of who I am. Like I want to be doing something, building something, making something. That is not truly my value. My value is just who I am,
Not only that, like at some point, like your output starts to have diminishing returns because you're just pushing.
Oh, I thought you were calling me old right there. I thought you were make me.
No,
Oh, okay.
no. We've talked about this, like how I felt guilty, taking a midday 20-minute nap,
Yeah.
because my brain would just shut off.
Yeah.
And now I don't always have to take a nap. I can just lay down and turn on the TV and hang out with Luna, or I just sit outside in the front and watch people for 20, 30 minutes, just completely disconnect, cook something, anything to where it just kind of disconnects me from what I was doing. That is recharging, and it allows for more creative work.
And this is actually a super helpful conversation because like if I build a website that does a thing and it helps you do a thing that you save $100, let's say it's quantifiable, right? That isn't infinite, right? But if I sit down with you and just by sharing space, all of a sudden you either have a life-changing conversation, you love yourself more, you stop having self-deprecating thoughts, you have epiphany that helps you have a more beautiful relationship with your wife or your kids or whatever. That's real value, and I didn't produce anything. It's just me, right? And so I want people to hear that. Like, so this is a personal journey of like realizing, oh, you just have value in just being you. And you provide so much value in just your presence if you really know who you are. And it doesn't have to be in what you make or what you produce or how great your photos are that you take or whatever. I like that, man. I think it's a beautiful, romantic future if we can get there and AI is doing the drudgery and our value is just exploring who we are and sharing that with the world. That's great. I love that idea.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, man. This has been amazing. For everybody out there, just understand that the tech is artificial. The consequences could be real, could not be real. I don't know. Stay human. That's probably the most important thing that I learned today is understanding that if you have to have some form of disconnect to be able to tell reality from not, then perhaps you just need to go step outside, walk your dog, take a run, whatever it is that you might need to do. But this has been, I say this a lot, but this has probably been my favorite conversation thus far. We talked about a lot of things and I thought it was really cool. Anytime we discuss film or comedy, it's usually up in my realm because that's genres I typically like.
I love to go to comedy with my friends, my family. Like going to comedy to me, and comedy is, I think, the highest form of public speaking.
1000%.
You can tell that
especially
story.
The ones that are at their top.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And to speak of manipulation, they're masters of manipulating your emotions to make you laugh or angry or feel like, oh my God, I can't believe they talked about that.
Oh man. Anyways, all right. I appreciate you. Thank you everybody for being here. Have a good one. See you on the next one.
See you, bud.